everyone, Kelly here, and I'm really excited to share with you an announcement video for the third round of middle grade magic. This is a readathon that I've been helping to host for the last couple years, and I'm just really looking forward to doing another round. And this is like where we kind of celebrate all that is middle grade and all how it covers so many genres and how we can get so much out of reading middle grade even as adults. And so this readathon goes from July 10th through the 18th, and there are 4 main hosts. So other than me, there is Kara from the Wild Book Garden, Yvette from BookCave, and Kier from Kier the Scrivener. And we also have a special guest host this year, Olivia Savannah from Olivia's Catastrophe. And the reason I say she's a special guest host is that she's not going to be doing an announcement video, but she is going to be recording some book recommendations for the prompts that we have for the readathon, and that she'll post towards the end of June. So I'll link all of those hosts down below in their channels so you can see their announcement videos, their TBRs, their recommendations, everything we're gonna do for the readathon. And so our theme this year is that we picked out all of our prompts based off of middle grade authors, and all of the prompts are inspired by those authors' works. And we got this idea from Blackathon, and so we want to give credit to Jesse from Bow Ties and Books because they were the originator of Blackathon, and this last year when they did the readathon, they did the prompts based off of authors' works, and we just really liked that idea and really wanted to highlight some middle grade authors. And so all of the prompts are based off of authors that all of us hosts really love. And because we loved so many authors and we came up with so many prompts based on these favorite authors of ours, we ended up with a lot of prompts. So we decided this year, instead of only doing 4 or 5 prompts that you're supposed to do all of the prompts, we just have a whole bunch of prompts, and you can pick and choose whichever ones you want to do. If you only want to do one prompt, you're participating in the readathon, or you can go wild and do all of the prompts and read a bunch of books in those 10 days. Whichever way you want to go. I probably won't read a book for every single prompt, so this is a choose your own adventure kind of readathon. We also want to say that we, as hosts, always strongly encourage you to pick books written by marginalized authors for any of the prompts, not just the prompts that specifically call for that. All right, so here are the prompts with the authors that all of us really love. So first up, we have Jason Reynolds, read an Own Voices book that deals with issues outside of the character's marginalization. And by this, we mean that, say it's a book that's written by a person of color, and the main character is also a person of color, but the main issue in the book deals with something like grief, or moving to a new town and starting a new school. So the issue is not related to the person being a person of color. So that's what we mean by something outside of the character's marginalization. And next we have Grace Lynn, read a book that involves folk tales, fairy tales, mythology, or storytelling, so it can contain any of those elements. Jacqueline Woodson, read a book by a prolific or famous author that you've never read from before. So this one I'm really excited about because there's so many authors that I hear people talk about all the time that have a ton of books out, and I've just never read from them. So pick somebody that has written a lot of books, or somebody that's really famous or popular that you haven't read from yet. Next up, we have Roshani Chokshi, and this is to read a middle grade book from an author where you've only read either their YA or their adult books, and now you want to try some of their middle grade books. Next one is Tahereh Mafi, and this is to read a book that will take you out of this world. So, that could be a fantasy with a whole new world, or it could even be an outer space book because it's out of this world, whatever you want to interpret that to mean. Next, we have Ellen Montgomery, and that is to either read a classic or reread a favorite book. So in case you just are really not interested in reading a classic children's book, you could just read something that you have really enjoyed in the past. Next, we have Kacen Callender, which is to read a queer book. So that's any representation in the LGBTQIA+ spectrum. Next is Catherine Applegate, and read a book that has an animal protagonist or a strong supporting character that is an animal. Next up, we have Kwame Alexander, and that is to read a novel in verse. Then we have Frances Harding, and that is to read a book that challenges assumptions about middle grade. So maybe you are somebody that doesn't read a lot of middle grade because you assume that it'll be, written too far down, like too much towards the child audience, or maybe you think they're too predictable. So read a book that you've heard from other people is, a little more sophisticated in its writing, or maybe will have some surprises that you aren't expecting, something that is a little out of your expectations. And for this one, you might need recommendations. If you don't know one off the top of your head, then you can always, write a message to any of us hosts and we could give you some recommendations. We might also have some recommendation videos coming up. I'm just not sure what all the hosts have plans in terms of recommendations. Next up is Hannah Han, and that is to read a book with themes of family. And last up we have Anna Mariano, and that is to read a book featuring a trope that you love, and that can be anything that you want, any trope that you like that it shows up in a middle grade book. And that's all the prompts. The only thing left to tell you is that we also have a Twitter account. I'll put that account here on the screen, but then I'll also put all the information, including all the prompts, the dates, the hosts, links, and the Twitter information, everything down in the description box. I really hope you join us. I love reading middle grade, so I'm definitely going to be putting up some different recommendation videos and a TBR and all that stuff over, the next few weeks preparing for the Readathon, and I'm really excited about it. So let me know down below if you're planning on joining us this year for middle grade magic, or if you would like to have any recommendations for specific prompts or anything like that. Remember, this one is very low-key readathon. You can pick as many prompts as you feel comfortable with to read over a 10-day period. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.